I'm Meloni Bhatt. Diversity and inclusion now are no longer fancy words. They're core to corporate culture. And as boardrooms are finding out, they're critical to long-term growth, profitability, and success. Now, there's a company that's doing interesting things when it comes to diversity and inclusion, and that is Hindustan Coca-Cola Beverages. And I'm thrilled to say that we have the CEO of HCCB, Mr. Neeraj Garg, join us to delve deep into it. Mr. Garg, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me here, Meloni. And it's great to be able to talk to a subject that's so close to our hearts.
Great. I'd also like to mention that Hindustan Coca-Cola Beverages is also a partner for the ET Prime Women Leadership Awards. Mr. Garg, my first question to you is, what does diversity and inclusion mean at HCCB?
Being a part of the fabric of India, I think the best way to describe diversity is to look at India itself, where we have diverse themes running in every aspect of the country that you think about. And whether you talk about gender diversity, whether you talk about people diversity, whether you talk about the LGBTQ community, whether you talk about basically being inclusive of people with a different point of view. I think all of that is relevant in today's world when you talk about diversity and inclusion. And at HCCB, we truly believe that this is not a buzzword or something that you need to do for philanthropy. This is the core of the business. And there is a very strong case to truly build a diverse organization, because that creates an edge, because it gives us true insights into our partners, our stakeholders, and our consumers. And it gives us better perspectives on how to operate and how to deal with different situations. And of course, it makes us even better or ready for the future generations and attracting the right talent, because that's what they're going to be looking for.
Right. Mr. Garg, if you could point out to us 2 or 3 long-term and short-term goals for HCCB when it comes to D&I.
Long-term, the aspiration honestly would be to have a 50-50 gender diversity and to have an organization that truly does not have any unconscious bias and is seen to be a role model for an inclusive organization. Okay, but short-term, there are significant challenges that we face. And really what we are focusing on is breaking those myths and making progress against that. So if you think about it, you know, we operate in a society and we recruit our workforce from the society around us. Okay, and the challenges that are there in the society is, number one, if you think about it, it's just not about what we get in, but how we operate within the company. So it's a real internal look at our policies, the way we deal with people, the way we recruit, the way we train them, the way we create a conducive environment for them. That's the first area that we are looking at. The second is the communities we operate in. You know, we keep saying that we are as sustainable as the communities that we work in are sustainable. So if the communities do not believe in what we believe in, or if we don't ensure that we have common beliefs, it's going to be extremely difficult for us to grow and thrive and meet our goals over there. And thirdly, being a leading FMCG company in India and a part of a global multinational, it's really critical for us to role model and set an example for others to follow. And those are the 3 goals that we are working towards on how do we ensure that we continue to make progress against those.
Mr. Garg, you know, I was going to come to the challenges that you face when you want to put diversity and inclusion, when you want to practice it as a company and as a large organization such as HCCB. You mentioned the societal challenges perhaps that you face, and maybe some challenges on an organization level. At a policy level, could you enumerate what are the challenges that you face when you try to put in, you know, perhaps more women on the factory floors, or perhaps something else that you want to do?
So Meloni, there are challenges in everything you do, but they're not unsurmountable challenges if you have the will for it and you clearly are willing to take the lead in partnering with different aspects, with our stakeholders, with the NGOs, with the government, and with the community to solve for that. You know, I'll take one specific example since you talk about the factory floor. There is a big myth that women cannot succeed on the factory floor because of the physical labor involved, the challenges over there. And unfortunately, over time, women themselves have started believing in it. So to solve that, we first had to look inside the company and see what we could do to take the physical force out of the equation on the factory floor. And through that evolved our first fully digital factory at Sanand, Gujarat, where women are able to use technology, or our workers are able to use technology to do even the most difficult tasks. So we had the environment. Now, is the community ready to let girls come onto the shop floor? Now we go and find talent from the local community, and clearly talent is available. They're smart, they're trained, they have the skills to work with us. The issue is, do they see HCCB shop floor as a destination of choice? And it's not just them, it's their parents, it's the sarpanch, it's the community. And what we find is that parents are very uncomfortable letting girls go onto the shop floor because they're not sure of their safety, they're not sure of the way they'll have to work, and they're not sure of what it means to their physical and mental well-being. So we started an engagement program, reaching out to the community elders, getting into sabhas, talking to the panchayat, inviting the parents to our factory and seeing the environment in which they work, showcasing how we had used technology to make life easier for every person in the factory, not just the women, and truly taking the gender bias out of the equation. And that helped us a lot in moving forward. And the third thing was, in terms of the government regulations, some of them even crafted to create a safe environment for women to work in. But if you truly want gender equality, the first principle we believe in is to stop the differentiation to create gender equality. So if you say women can only work one shift, you yourself are creating the differentiation and saying there is something wrong, different, not right, that you only want them in one shift. So we wanted to make sure that there was true equality at every level. So we partnered with the government and NGOs and stakeholders and said, how can we get 3 shifts with women and men on the factory shop floor? And the work that we did in terms of crafting out regulations, in terms of crafting out what safety measures need to be taken, the fact that women can work on 3 shifts only if there's a certain percentage of women in the cadre, because you have to make sure there are enough women on every shift. So we worked through all that and we were able to get permissions against it. So Sanand, we had 40% of the workforce now as women in Gujarat, which is the highest, considering that our company average is only 12.5% right now. We made great progress over there. And we are so emboldened by the success over there that now a new factory, which is opening up in Raniganj, Siliguri next month, which is the state-of-the-art first vertical beverage factory in India, we are now going to have 60% of the workforce as women. So it is possible if you truly believe in it and you engage, first starting with yourself, the ecosystem and the community, that you can create the right environment to move forward. And that's what we've learned. And our next big challenge is to take learnings from Sanand and Siliguri. And these were new factories, so easier to digitalize, easier to create an environment where we can take the physical force out of the equation. But at our older factories, that's a little bit more of a journey. And that's the work that we're doing now to see how we can incorporate the learnings backwards into our existing footprint and actually move the needle forward.
That's very, very interesting, Neeraj. If you can tell me, how did you work with the men, having women on the shop floor? What was their state of mind and how did the organization help them understand the benefits, or perhaps, how women can also lean in and help companies grow?
So you're absolutely right. The biggest internal challenge was not the physical infrastructure, but it was the mindset of the organization, right? It was the unknown biases or the unthought through biases that people bring because of the community that they've grown up in, because of the way they've been used to working, or what they've seen in the past, that a woman is only good for the softer jobs and cannot really contribute to the more difficult, challenging situation on the soft floor. So the first thing was to truly get an understanding of those biases. So getting through inclusion surveys, talking to people, understanding what it is, we were able to get a sense of what it is. And of course, each of the leadership team also had to look inside their own heart to see, what changes we need to bring to be comfortable to working with a workforce that's more diverse. So that was also a very, very enlightening journey for us. Using that, we've created a whole series of programs which invite both men and women together to talk about the challenges, the biases, as well as we've created a diversity handbook, which is just not about gender diversity, but actually looks at all aspects of diversity, whether it is differently abled people, people from different parts of the community, LGBTQ, everything. And that handbook actually has cases or case studies from within the Indian community to talk about how you may be thinking differently about a person, and that creates that challenge of diversity. And if I may just take 30 more seconds on that, for a differently abled person, you may think I'm doing great by running up and opening a door for them because it's difficult for them, but that might make them feel inadequate because they need help. So can the company create an infrastructure where everybody knows it's not a problem? Opening of a door is something that anybody can manage. It doesn't matter who you are. Or there's a ramp which allows you to travel from one part of the factory to the other without somebody having to help you. That itself starts addressing the unknown biases and the challenges that you face when you're trying to create a diverse organization.
Right. This is something that you're doing on the shop floor, the factory floor, diversity surveys, and including people, be it men or women. Diversity and inclusion is tough at the ground level. How tough is it at the boardroom level? And what's been your experience with it?
So I've been very fortunate, and we've had in the leadership team that I inherited at Hindustan Coca-Cola, the earlier CEO was a lady, Christina, and she had actually taken the first steps on that. So it made my life a little bit easier. And, we have a diverse leadership team at Hindustan Coca-Cola. So honestly, for me at the boardroom, it's not been that difficult coming into that, but there are challenges. One is making sure that each of the members of the leadership team feel confident that their point of view will be heard, and each of us being truly unbiased in the way we approach, irrespective of the gender, the opinions, and feedback that we have for each other. That becomes critical. So there has been some amount of diversity training that all of us have gone through. I think the challenge for me right now is more about ensuring that there is bench strength of continuity in the boardroom of diverse leaders, because that's the journey that we are on, in truly making sure that we are able to groom people to be able to have talent which is diverse, from which then you can choose the best that comes into the boardroom. I think that's the bigger challenge that we face right now. And I was talking to a candidate on an interview some time ago, and she said something very interesting. She's been working and has taken a couple of breaks from her career because of, becoming a mom or other challenges with the family. And she said, Mr. Garg, the challenge is not about the policies that you have, but the challenge is the perspective each person brings to the issue. If they are not willing to take on or play their role in ensuring continuity of work for a woman, it's never going to happen. So it's not enough to say that we think and we will make it like this or we'll enable it. How do you reach out and make sure that people start thinking differently and they're able to acknowledge the role they play or their partner plays in both the economic security of their family as well as the well-being of their home and family, So that is the balance that needs to be brought. And that was a very interesting perspective. And that is something that as a company, we've really spent a lot of time on in terms of creating policies which enable the men and the women to be equal in their responsibility towards their work and towards the family. So it's not just maternity leave, it's paternity leave as well. Sick leave is unlimited, because if there is somebody sick, then both have a responsibility to step in and help out. Okay. Work from home after the COVID experience, we learned is a new way of life. So we announced it last year that for people who would like to continue to work from home, we are okay with that as long as their managers are comfortable and they don't have a front-facing job. So if you are in the factory shop floor, or if you're a salesperson, it's sometimes difficult to work from home, but in other functions, it's possible. On top of that, we also realize that working from home is a very, very different way of working than coming to office. So it's not a 9 to 5 job. So people are allowed to work the hours that they feel comfortable. If they need to take a break in the middle for an hour or two because the child or the daughter is coming home from school and the mom or the father needs an hour to ensure they're settled down, it's possible for them to work with their teams to manage that. At the Coca-Cola company, we're using some of the new buzzwords that go around, JOMO, which is joy of missing out. You don't need to be a part of every meeting. You don't need to have the video on in every meeting. You can have the video off, you can be on audio, and people know that you are fully engaged because we have true faith and belief in you, whether you're a guy or a girl. So that's the difference in making sure that you look at your team with equal eyes and don't have a rose-colored tint when you look at one gender versus the other.
Must be truly empowering for your workforce. Could you share with us, Neeraj, now I want to specifically focus on the Sanand example that you gave us, where you said that 40% of your strength is women. How have women helped the bottom line?
Some of the myths are there to be broken and some of them are to be proven, right? Not to be broken. Women are more sincere. I have to say this. They take less time off, right? They are more reliable and they are there all the time, and they treat everything, the assets at the factory, as their own asset. So there's better maintenance, there is better efficiency, there's better quality. And they bring much more fun to the workplace. When I was visiting Sanand, the girls got around me and said, and they're young, and at my age, I can call them my girls, but they are girls over there, right? Young ladies, but I can say that. And they came and told me, Neeraj, you know what? We don't need to stand on this line all the time. We get bored, we go and play TT, and we know a WhatsApp or a notification will be sent by the automated system if something needs our attention, and we get there and do it. And each of them is now multi-skilled. So that is a huge thing. Earlier, we used to have a line operator, we used to have a filler operator, these women are now multi-skilled. They can work on different parts of the line. And that itself makes such a big difference to the efficiency and productivity of the line. Because now you can keep the line running even if somebody is not there because of a personal challenge. And of course, it's a much better environment. People are more happy. They're working towards achieving more. All that helps the bottom line and the business case.
Neeraj, my last question to you. That is, despite sometimes the best policies, the best organizational policies, sometimes women, people who identify as non-binary, people who are disabled, there is a gap between the organizational policies and the reality of work for them. At HCCB, how do you work at ensuring that that gap is minimum or addressing that gap?
Look, let's face the facts. Like the society around us, we are a work in progress, not a finished product yet, right? There is a lot for us to do. It's easy to say all that I've said, but making sure that 24/7, everything is consistent and being dealt in the manner that we desire is still some way to go. So the best way we believe to creating an inclusive workplace is really listening to the employees, especially the women, and making sure that we're incorporating their feedback on a continuous basis. So we have a number of ways that we do that. We have women-only meetings with the CEO or the leadership team of the company. I run a Share a Coke meeting, Share a Coke with Neeraj, it's called, every 4 months across the company, every 4 weeks across the company. A bunch of young people get together, it's irrespective of level, irrespective of location or job, and we share a Coke for an hour and a half. And they ask me questions and they can give me feedback on what they think we should do. We have monthly town halls where people are allowed to ask questions. Something I don't want to happen, but I think helps is anonymously. So people can ask questions without identifying themselves. I truly want to get to a stage where everybody identifies themselves. But right now, it's still there. We have skip level meetings. We do surveys. And of course, we have a digital bot called Amber. And this lady is very, very active in reaching out, talking to people, getting feedback and collating it into trends that we need to watch. So all that truly helps us listen in. We want to create an environment where people can bring the best of themselves to work, where they can contribute to where they feel they belong, they truly are empowered. And this can only happen if we are listening. And the other piece, like I said earlier, was about the sensitization programs. If the men, and I took the example of the differently able person trying to open a door, but that is true of every part of it. If you're not listening in when somebody makes a point, irrespective of gender, if you don't work with empathy, if you don't try to bring a person who doesn't know a skill, bring them along and carry them for the future to get a skilled workforce for yourself, then it's going to be very, very difficult to create an inclusive workforce. And that is what we are focusing on. I talked about the handbook, which goes beyond it, which is getting rolled out, which has case studies, which people can read, and we encourage people to talk about them. And the other piece is that as a leadership team, we are continuously reviewing our policies and structures. So I told you about the work from home, the way we had set it up. We are currently in a review to see what's the future of work for us. How do we truly evolve in the future with the current trends that are over there? How do we make sure that we are ruling out unconscious biases with technology and with tools that we can provide? And of course, how do we continue to provide opportunities for growth and development? So all that goes a long way in making sure that we are doing our best to catch up to the very, very aspirational goals that we've set for ourselves.
Neeraj Garg, thank you so very much for joining us and giving us all these insights about HCCT. We wish you and your team the very best.
Thank you, Miloni. We appreciate the partnership in this journey and look forward to continue to create role models for this across the workspace. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.